Gee, kids, I'm not sure we can do our show today because it looks like Hurricane Sluggo is headed right for us here in America's wetland.
That's right, Mr. Bill. And since New Orleans is below sea level, if a hurricane hit us directly, it could push the water over the levees and fill it to the top.
Oh no, then we'd better leave.
Well, it's too late to evacuate since all the roads are jammed and underwater.
Then where can we go that's safe?
Here, this should work.
Gee, I hope it doesn't get much higher.
Well, Reed the alligator doesn't seem too worried.
Yeah, that's because he can swim. You know, I don't do that too well.
Well, in that case, Reed says he'll have one of his buddies come and give you a lift.
That's okay. Maybe you can find my water wings or something. Oh, wait, don't get me out of here. No.
Let's act now before it's too late.
Honey, we've got to get packing. They say they may have to call a mandatory evacuation.
Yeah, they always say that. Look, blue skies, everything's gonna be fine. I ain't going anywhere.
You should always be prepared to evacuate when officials give the order. It's gonna be a pretty day. The sun's gonna be shining and you're gonna be wondering why are they asking me to evacuate. You may get a phone call from our office saying there's been a hazardous material incident. We're asking every resident to leave their home and to report to a shelter. During an emergency, the Office of Emergency Preparedness in Terrebonne Parish will give guidance to residents to accommodate them as far as evacuation and other orders that may be issued throughout the parish. Our major threat here in Louisiana, and especially Terrebonne Parish, is the threat of a hurricane or tropical system affecting our coastline. We haven't had a storm in the last 3 years, and people get laxed because we haven't had a storm. But it's our job to continue to remind people that we are susceptible to hurricanes and tropical storm systems and that you should always be prepared in the event that one occurs. A lot of people will tell you that my family did not leave when Hurricane Betsy came and we did not experience the flooding. Our landscape has changed tremendously over the last 50 years due to the wetland loss and the loss of our barrier islands. We have lost our protection from wind and storm surge due to the amount of erosion and subsidence in the southern Florida parish. If you live in South Louisiana and along the coastline, you're going to experience a tropical system sometime in your life. You should have a game plan on what you're going to do in the case of a tropical storm or a hurricane and we call for an evacuation of your area. You should plan on leaving today. You should have a kit prepared so that when it's time to leave, you grab your kit. It's just a way of life for us. The good thing about a hurricane is that at least we get warnings and watches way before the hurricane affects our area. Typically, we start monitoring hurricane 5 days out. If you live in California, there are no warnings that you're going to have an earthquake. Tornadoes, you may get 15, 20 minutes, but with a hurricane, you're going to know 5 days away where that storm is predicted to hit the coastline. You should be out of harm's way if you have a game plan. All I ask you to do is save $1 a day. That's enough to get you 2 tanks of gas and at least a one-night stay at a hotel in a safe area. When we call for that mandatory evacuation, you should be prepared for the event that you cannot come back. You know, we saw from Katrina where the residents cannot go back to their homes. That can happen here in Terrebonne Parish, and you should have a plan for what you're going to do in the event that that happens.
I got a great deal on these shrimp. They're practically giving the things away.
But what if the electricity goes out?
Well, that's what I got the generator for. You still worried about all this hurricane stuff?
Honey, they're gonna call for a mandatory evacuation any minute now. We really should get going before we...
Hey, what are you doing over here?
Oh, I'm laminating important documents. Social security card, birth certificate, incriminating letters.
Incriminating?
Don't stock your freezer with shrimp before a storm. The best advice is to clean out your refrigerator before you leave. I typically tell people if there's a storm that's fixing to enter the Gulf, that's when you should be going around your house, trimming any limbs that may affect your home, pick up anything outside that may get blown away or try to secure it. And once the storm passes, or if it's not a threat to us, you can always go back and put things back out. 5 days out, the cone of error is very wide, typically 2 or 3 states. You should have a few options to go to in the event that a storm hits this area. friends or family or a hotel, you should make that reservation at least 5 days in advance. The closer the storm's getting, the less likely you're going to get a hotel room. If you don't have any friends or family out of town that you can evacuate to in a safe area, then you should go to the general population shelter in the city of Monroe that we have for our residents. If you are disabled or have a special need, you should contact the Council on Aging in Terrebonne Parish and register with them. Once the storm gets closer to Terrebonne Parish, they will give you a number and contact our office and let us know that you need to go to a special needs shelter. We will transport people through our bus system to those special needs shelters. If you're elderly and if you need transportation, you should register with the Council on Aging office here and we will provide that transportation for you. If you're going to evacuate with your pet, bring any necessary paperwork that you have on your pet. Whatever toys they like to play with, you need to bring that. If you're going to evacuate to a hotel, make sure you contact the hotel first to see if they take pets or not. At our shelter at the City of Monroe, we will have a pet shelter adjacent to that. If you own a business, the Governor's Office of Homeland Security Emergency Preparedness has a template set up to assist you in recovering from an incident. 40% of businesses after a major event do not open back up. In the event that you cannot come back to your business due to flooding or damage, you should have a plan set up that you can operate somewhere else, a continuity of operations plan. Do not buy desktops, buy laptops. When your employees evacuate and you shut down your office, everybody can take their laptops and go where they need to go. Back up your server, bring those files with you. You can purchase a server at any of the large box electronic stores. You just need a physical place to operate. In the last few years, especially after Gustav, we've had a lot of federal funding to raise houses above the base floor level. Some of these houses are 15, 18 feet up above the ground. We've also been able to upgrade our levee system here in Terrebonne Parish to approximately 10 feet in height. But the raising of the houses and the 10-foot levees give a false sense of security to the residents, thinking that now that my house is raised, I don't have to leave for a hurricane. We're still going to have the strong winds and we're still going to have the storm surge. So just because your house is 15 feet off the ground, if you have 8 feet of water below your house, there's no way we can provide emergency services or go get you until after a storm is over. Same thing with the levee system. In the event that we get a storm surge prediction from the National Hurricane Center that is going to give us a storm surge above 10 feet, then we're susceptible to that storm surge overtopping the levees and flooding out the lower areas of the parish. Once the water starts coming into your house, once the wind starts tearing it apart, what are you going to do? What can you do? A lot of people are worried about looting, but during Hurricane Gustav, we had no looting within this parish, and we had probably a 95% evacuation rate. Terrebonne Parish institutes a curfew during the mandatory evacuation, and if you decide to stay, you're pretty much limited to your property. If not, you're subject to arrest.
Oh my God. They're giving out free tattoos downtown. Check it out.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, they're giving out social security number and next of kin.
Hurricane party! Oh, cool. I got next to kid. Awesome!
You guys are nuts. Look, honey, I love you, but I'm not willing to get washed away to prove it.
Bummer.
Don't worry, I got a generator.
Just because you have a generator doesn't mean that you're not going to have flooding, inundation. Once the receptacles are covered in your house, that generator is useless. In the event that Terrebonne Parish issues a mandatory evacuation, we will notify all residents through our media outlets and also through our automated call system. We've used information that was supplied by the National Hurricane Center and the National Weather Service to make that evacuation decision. You should prepare your home. You should cover your windows, whether it's plywood, aluminum, some type of material to cover your windows. Do not use tape. Tape does not work. It's a fallacy, and it's also a mess to get off. If you know how to turn off your gas, turn off your gas. But if you turn your gas off and you come back, you will need to contact the local utility to get your gas turned back on. We will issue an order approximately 50 to 60 hours before the tropical storm force winds are going to affect the coastline. We have to evacuate before the New Orleans and Jefferson Parish areas evacuate, because once that population leaves, the highways will get jammed because there's more people to leave out of those areas, and also contraflow will start on the major interstates. If you're not in the proper lane and you're trying to get to a specific area, you may end up somewhere that you didn't want to go because you were forced to go in that direction because of contraflow. We've had an increase in residents wanting to live closer to the water, closer to the beach areas. The infrastructure doesn't keep up with the amount of people moving in. The evacuation routes normally include the 5-finger highways that we have here in Terrebonne Parish. All of those highways typically come up into Houma. You can take Highway 311 to get you to Highway 1 and 308 so that you can head north. Or you can take Highway 90 and go toward New Orleans and get on 310 and then head up I-55 to evacuate into Mississippi. 90 West is an option to evacuate, and in Lafayette you can take I-49 north, which will head you up toward Shreveport. But if the storm is typically moving toward the west, you don't want to follow the storm to that area. I ask people to pretty much avoid the New Orleans area because of the congestion that will occur over there, and you will get stuck in traffic. Once that evacuation order is issued, we will open up our point-to-point shelter in the city of Monroe in Ouachita Parish. Those persons without a ride or a way to evacuate will be picked up in their area wherever they live. They will be transported to our parish pickup point at H.L. Bourgeois. They will be registered into our evacuation system, and then they will board school buses for their journey to the City of Monroe Civic Center to ride out the storm. You're allowed to bring one suitcase. You should bring enough clothing for 72 hours, and you should bring all your medication, your prescription medications, any type of important papers. You should bring some money. You should bring some bedding, a couple blankets and a pillow so that you'll have something to put on a cot. The general population shelter that we provide is a place of safe harbor for you. We typically say it's not the Hilton. So it's just a safe place to harbor so that you will be safe from the storm for a couple days. If we have total devastation, after 3 or 4 days, we will try to get you back to a shelter that's closer to your home. A bus ride to the city of Monroe is 6 hours.
You ever use this thing?
No, but I'm sure there's a button somewhere.
Maybe this hurricane party wasn't such a good idea.
Oh yeah, maybe the next hurricane.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Honey?
Y'all mind if I tag along? I spent the last of the money on the chips.
All right.
While you've evacuated and you're in your hotel room or you're at the general population shelter, it's advisable that you listen to the local media in your area and some of the national media. We will be sending out press releases twice a day on conditions in Terrebonne Parish. Also, in the state of Louisiana, you can dial 211, and the 211 system will have all our updates and our press releases, or you can ask for specific information to see if they can answer that for you. Our community hotline will be up and running. We're going to be also sending information to the media outlets in the city of Monroe, in Ouachita Parish, and Northeast Louisiana, so that the residents that are sheltered in those areas will be able to watch TV and hear what's going on in Terrebonne Parish. Get an app for your local television station. We'll also have Facebook and Twitter, updating constantly during the storm and during the event, and also our website, tpcg.org. You can get all the information that we've released to all the press and any other information that we can update on a real-time basis almost of what's happening here in Terrebonne Parish. In the event that we get a Category 4 or 5 storm, we will have a tremendous amount of damage in this parish that will take some time to recover. Our priorities here in this parish are to establish electricity, water service, and sewer service. Without those items, we cannot recover. We're going to use a tiered level in order to allow people to come back in. Tier 1 level badges are going to be issued to local responders and those industries that need to get back in for life safety or property issues. Tier 2 badges will be issued to businesses that are needed to facilitate the general public coming back in, such as grocery stores, pharmacies, doctor's offices, gas stations, all the hardware stores, Lowe's and Home Depots. So when you come back in, those places are already open and ready to service your recovery needs. Tier 3 means the general population can return. The recovery process for the parish may involve providing shelter for residents. We will provide ice, tarps, MREs, and other supplies that may assist you in your recovery. The Terrebonne Parish Office of Homeland Security coordinates a lot of recovery efforts with other agencies, including the American Red Cross, a lot of non-governmental organizations, the Council on Aging, the United Way, churches in the parish to assist with recovery of residences. In the event that additional resources are needed within this parish, a request will be made to the Governor's Office of Homeland Security Emergency Preparedness for Louisiana. And then if Louisiana doesn't have the resources, those resources will be obtained from FEMA. In the event that the storm weakens or turns, we will continue to monitor that situation. And when we deem that it's safe to allow the residents back in, we will send out what we call an all clear and allow everybody to come back in. We all love living here in South Louisiana. We wouldn't trade this area for any other area. And every once in a while, we're gonna have to take a little trip because of a hurricane or a tropical system. But if you know you have a plan and you review it every year, you know you're prepared, then you can enjoy your life down here.
Did you knock that off?
Good thing we didn't get any further. We got a lot shorter ride back now.
If we ever get some gas, I told you to fill up.
And I told you nothing would happen.
Well, we'd be on our way back home if we had a plan.
Chip.